second text having to do with creation theology would be Genesis chapter 2. Let's take a look at this, and I'll give you a few ideas of some things that you can look for. In a similar way that the previous chapter, chapter 1, has kind of an introduction to it, this text does as well. In the day that something started to happen when this and such was the case, because this was the case, but instead this would happen and the water, then this happened. So all this kind of business here sort of functions as some kind of a setup leading into the first main point of the text, the action of God, the formation of man. So it's really interesting in this chapter if you look at the portrayal of God, the God character. Compare how God was portrayed in the kinds of actions that God did and God's involvement in the activities in the unfolding of the text. In the chapter 1, God spoke, God said, so on. But here in this text, we have these interesting verbs. Lord God formed, he breathed, Lord God planted, the Lord God made to grow. Different sort of categories, very hands-on, we might say, portrayal of the God character. So take a look at this passage that having to do with the formation of man that runs through verse 8. Now, the key word maybe that characterizes this next section would be garden. What do you think? Take a look at the various, it's actually quite a lengthy section, goes down through verse 17. All kinds of information about this garden. So how the Lord made it and where it was. And its condition and these rivers that flowed through it, and the location of man there in the garden, God being put, or the man being put in the garden. Actually that begins at verse 8 here, isn't it? 2 times the garden is identified as the place that the man was put, that God had formed. So look through and see sort of what seems to be the point of this description and what kind of a place is this. Then the text takes a different turn. We've got a statement of the Lord, and we've all probably heard this observation all the times back in chapter 1 where it says, it's good, it's good, it's good, very good, it's very good. And we finally get to this first statement that something's not good. And it sort of leads up to this punchline of partner. So if the last section was about garden, this one is about partner in some sort of a way, and it's not good that the man be without a partner. And look at how the story here unfolds. This episode has to do with animals. Looks like we're on a search for a partner and the naming of animals. But we arrive at this conclusion here for the end part of this, that section. There's not found a helper as his partner. And this conjunction, it's sort of like dominoes going down. First, a problem to be solved, the first attempt to solve it, and it not having the success we're looking for, so something else happens. And out of this process then comes woman, who is also named by the man in a certain kind of a way. So take a look at that passage and its emphasis on partner, and what's the point in that text. And finally, this last verse is kind of a throwaway. Is it a throwaway line? Just this sort of a comment from the side. And the man and his wife were both naked and were not ashamed. What's the point of that comment, and how does that fit into the larger text here? So once again, work through, give yourself to the text, make observations, get into the details, and then start to summarize and pull together and make an attempt, 25 to 40 words. What's the central idea of this text? What point does the writer seem to be making, and how do they use words to make it? We'll talk more about this when I see you next.